Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Jamison, and this is how I cook. You saw my thumbnail. I'm making lobster tails, and I'm going to show you guys two presentation styles that I love to use for my lobster tails. We're going to split them in half, and I'm going to show you how to serve them split completely in half. And then also, I'm going to show you how to butterfly the lobster tail and present it on top of the shell. Guys, do me a favor, hit that subscription button, turn on those notifications and let somebody know that you're watching this video. And also leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you, especially if you tried this recipe or if you're thinking about trying this recipe or if you have any questions. Let's get to it, guys. All right, I have three beautiful lobster tails here. These are cold water lobster tails. So I've got some minced garlic and shallots. I've got some parsley. I've got some salt and pepper, obviously. I've got some leftover white wine. This is a Pinot Grigio. And we're gonna put in about a quarter cup of butter to make this sauce for these tails. Before you get too far into starting on your lobster tails, start your oven at 425. We're gonna actually roast these in the oven so that they come out perfect. And that's the temperature we're gonna be cooking at, is 425. So there's really only a handful of ways to prepare these lobster tails. But what I like to do before I get started is on the back side of the lobster tails, there's these little flippers. You see these little flippers here? These little flippers? I'm gonna remove those, and I'm gonna use my kitchen shears to remove these. This is purely aesthetic. This has nothing to do with the flavor or how it's gonna turn out. But remember, I like to plate my food, so I'm just gonna take my time and snip these off the bottom of my lobster tails. Okay guys, we got our lobster tails cleaned up on the back side here. So the next thing we want to do, I'm going to show you how to split these tails. The first way I'm going to show you how to split these tails is using a chef's knife, and we're going to cut these completely in half. So we're going to start up here at the tail, and we're going to just come in and make a little bit of an incision right there at the joint of that flipper and this section, first section of the tail. Come in with your chef's knife, press down, and then just come in with your palm of your hand and go through one clean shot. And that crushes it, cracks it open. You come down again here with the rest of the tail. That's pretty, just like that. And that's your lobster tail split. Now inside of this tail, you can see it right. If you look closely, you can see it, what I'm looking for right here. This is the intestine of the lobster. So you want to this vein, you want to find that vein and you want to remove that vein. Just take your time, put your finger in there, just gently come in, work it out. Take that and throw it away. And now you've got a clean lobster tail. Now, what I like to do with a half tail like this is I want to, if you've got any loose shell, that's another thing you want to clean off of here right now. If you've got any loose pieces of shell, but take your time and come underneath this bottom of this piece now. And I want to work my finger in here to loosen up the meat from the shell. See the shell? So I'm kind of working my finger in here gently. You don't want to go crazy and just pull hard, but you want to loosen it up like this. This is where you want to be, right here. And so this tail, the shell is going to act as a reservoir to hold our butter sauce. So we're not going to pull this all the way out. You could pull it all the way out if you wanted to, but then lay it back in here. And I'm going to do the other tail the same way. So we take those, give them a quick rinse on the water, but you're good to go there. So the second way I want to show you how to prepare your lobster tail for presentation purposes is that we're going to butterfly this lobster tail. You've seen butterflied lobster tails on on TV all the time. This is how Red Lobster serves their lobster tail. We're going to take the meat of the tail and set it on top of the shell, the empty shell, and that's how we're going to present our lobster. So we come in and we find the openings right there in the middle. If you move this meat back, you'll see this opening hole here. you take your scissors and your kitchen shears, and you come straight down the middle, and you just want to cut through the shell until you get right here before that middle flipper. So you come in here, you take your time, boom, you're good to go. Now, take your lobster and kind of set it on its side and begin to press gently to break this shell and just to kind of crack it in the back. So we want to push down till we hear that crack, but we don't want to push crazy, just push enough to break it and get it to bend in the middle. Perfect. So now we got a shell that's bent and cracked in the middle. We come back in here, right there, that's what we're looking for. Put our finger there, be gentle. And like we did for the previous lobster tail presentation where we cut in half, we want to just work our finger underneath the bottom of this shell. And then as we lift up, our lobster tail meat comes out. And we don't want to pull it all the way out. We just want to pull it out until it gets to almost to that last, once again, that last flipper. And we close it back up, right? And we give this a little bit of a twist to make it present nice. And we open it up. We find our intestine here. See our intestine? We take our time with this and gently remove this from our lobster tail. And if it doesn't want to lay on top, find the side where it's kind of being difficult and give it just a light twist. Because once again, we're not trying to tear it out the shell. We're trying to use the shell as a prop for our presentation. And so we just take our time, open it up, just like that. And that is our butterflied lobster tail. So I'm gonna give these a rinse, and then I'll show you how to start them in the oven, and we'll make our finishing sauce. Okay guys, so we got our oven set to 425. It's already up to temperature. The last thing we're gonna do is prepare these lobster tails for the oven, get them seasoned, and get them ready to go in. I've got these nice gratin dishes. You can use ramekins, you can use a baking sheet, you can use a cast iron skillet, but just for purposes of presentation, I've got these nice gratin dishes. And what I'm gonna do with these half pieces of lobster tail that I've cut up here, I'm just gonna take these and lay them in just like that. So we'll come in here, and I kind of like a little bit of a presentation that looks like this. And you could even kind of come in and do it a different way if you wanted to. You could lay them that way. You could lay them kind of opposite of each other, which would look pretty good. I'm actually a fan of that. So we'll take them and lay them kind of opposite of each other. And the biggest thing is with this presentation, you want that cup action happening where the shell can serve as a cup to catch all those beautiful flavors, that butter, that sauce we're gonna make here. It makes it really nice. Now, for this other one, what we're gonna do is essentially the same thing with our butterfly tail. We're gonna take this, we've got them split open. So we'll take our tail, our butterfly tail here, and we lay it in. So take your time here with this. Presentation matters. So if you can't fan the tail out, that's okay. Just take your tail, get them in there nice and neat. And then, because I've got two here, I'm gonna take my time and kind of put both of them right here. So I'm gonna lean them over. You know what we're gonna do. Just not do that. how you go, you gotta go. There we go. There we go. And because I've got 3 tails, I'm going to use 3 dishes. Show you what these look like. And you can see how these will present and make a wonderful accompaniment to any meal. All right, so we've got our lobster tails positioned in these beautiful gratin dishes, and we're going to use these to cook our lobster in the oven. I've got it set to 425. All we want to do is get the lobster to a very gentle doneness. We don't want to try to overcook it. Remember, with seafood, you better to err on the side of undercooking it rather than overcooking it. And before we put this in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of salt, not much, but just a little bit of salt on each of these tails. You don't want to over season these, just a light application of this kosher salt, because we're going to make a beautiful butter and wine sauce to go on these. I'm going to show you how that comes together. Take a little bit of pepper. Just a little bit of pepper here. Not too much. Just a little bit of pepper. This is how I like my lobster tail. You don't want to put pepper on here or salt. You want to just use that butter combination that I'm going to show you how to make. That's fine too. All right, we'll take these. We're going to put them in the oven at 425, and we're going to let these go until the meat becomes opaque. So they're going to turn white. We want to take them out as soon as that happens. We don't want to overcook these lobster tails. And then while these are cooking though, I'll show you how we're going to make our beautiful butter sauce. So we'll take this and get this going. We've got some olive oil in here. And so we're going to add in our shallots, our minced shallots and garlic. And you don't want to cook this too hot, right? You just want this to bloom. This garlic will burn, so you want to be gentle with this. The next thing I'm going to do is add in some of this leftover white wine I've got. So about 1/4 cup. And once again, all we're going to do here with this is we're just going to cook this until the alcohol has simmered out of it. Because I got a little bit of this red pepper flake left over from when I was cooking the last time. Just going to take a little bit of that, throw it in there. Just a little bit. And so we're going to reduce this a little bit, because I want to concentrate this wine flavor, but I don't want to cook it all out. Just want to reduce it a little bit. That's beautiful. The last thing we're going to add in is we're going to add in our butter. So it's about 1/4 cup of butter. And at this point, we want to turn off our heat, and we want to allow the heat that's in the pan to melt this butter. Now what I want to do here is I want to kind of brighten this up a little bit with some more color. So I'm going to take a little bit of my parsley, a pinch of parsley, and throw in here. When our lobster shells go and turn red and become a dark red, then we know that these lobsters are done. And remember, you rather miss on the side of not cooking it quite as long as you could versus overcooking it. So when you see that shell turn red, you know that, hey, any second now, your lobster's about to be done. So I'm gonna take mine out because we're cooking it in an open, dry air of the oven, and I'm gonna show you how to finish it up with this sauce. So the last thing we wanna do is take some of this beautiful butter, shallot, garlic, parsley, white wine sauce that we've made, and we're just gonna spoon this over our lobster tails. That's what we wanna do with that. And you wanna make sure every tail gets some. Now, the butterfly tails, they're not gonna hold the sauce on them like the cupped tails do. That's why I prefer that cupped presentation. But what's nice about using these ramekins, these gratin dishes, is that you're not losing any of that sauce, right? It's all gonna be right there underneath those tails. Let's see what we got. Oh. Ooh. That. Wait a minute. Let me just make sure. Because we don't want to mislead you guys. Let me just make sure here. Even with this butter, wine, garlic, shallot sauce, you don't lose the lobster in this. Guys, you gotta make these lobster tails. Very approachable, easy recipe. A little bit of work on the preparation, but it's not hard. You saw the steps, you saw how easy this is. You're getting some amazing flavor. It's very delicate, very moist, very succulent, rich, buttery flavor. And the butteriness isn't coming just from the butter sauce I made. The lobster has a natural sweetness and a natural buttery flavor that plays well here. This is an unbelievable dish. It looks great when you put it together. Man, imagine this with a steak. Can't beat it. Beautiful surf and turf. Anyway, guys, I gotta get back to this lobster. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and share this recipe. Let somebody else know how to make lobster tails. This is how I cook. I'm Jamison. This is what I do. This is how I cook. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Guys, I gotta get back to this lobster tail. I'll talk to you later. This is, cut one more piece out of here. I don't even eat lobster regularly, but this is an amazing dish. It's my recipe too, y'all. Wow. Butter and wine?